I think he's very well optimized for that right center midfield role. That was just my thinking going into the game, and that was why I was just a little less high on it than everyone else. I have obviously a lot more things to say about it, but I'll save that for when we actually get into the meat of the Fede Valverde debate.
Well, I think we're in the meat of it now, almost. Like we're on the break.
So you just this is the first thing we talk about?
Yeah, I mean, because it's like the first thing that basically happened. It's like, you know, when you walk on the pitch, immediately you're trying to figure out how Fede is going to do, because like in the 3rd minute, Mane just burns him, and already you could see the Twitter dialogue of like, oh, this is a bad idea. Like, okay, so like there was that. The way it started wasn't good. So it's like an immediate thing to discuss, I think, and it remained a theme throughout. So for me, like I'm not surprised Odriozola didn't start. I had mentioned in my column that yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever I published it, that basically like I trust almost every option from a pure defensive standpoint over Odriozola. And the other thing was like when Zidane put Odriozola into the Clásico, I think because he had so little time to think about the decision, he needed to make a quick decision and put somebody on the field. I think once he lets that marinate a little bit and think about it for a few days, he's going to think differently of what to do with that right back position. So, and he did. But again, Fede wasn't the one I had considered. And you brought up some of the positional quirks and like some of the stuff that Fede's good at, and that may not necessarily manifest itself in the context of a right back position. You know, I 100% believe that, because this it's kind of the same discussion with Lucas Vazquez, who played well as a right winger and was known as this defensive-minded workhorse. But him actually playing as a right wing back or a right back, he struggled early on. Like we see now that how important he's been as a right back in this phase, but it wasn't always like that. It took him a long time to get him adjusted to that and actually learn the positional kind of the wrinkles of it and knowing where to be and not having those right winger tendencies. It's really difficult to shed those habits in one game, especially in a Champions League knockout second leg at Anfield. So, but I thought he coped well. I did. And I think, you know, unsurprisingly, Liverpool's press was much better today than it was in Madrid. And again, apart from that one Mane sequence, he recovered well. Because we were only recording this like 1 hour after the game, I still haven't done my deep dive on this game yet. I just remember checking at halftime, and he had, I think, 4 interceptions, a bunch of sequences where he runs over and closes the cross down from Robertson. And I thought he coped well. But I think more interestingly than his defensive kind of things is that Real Madrid found themselves getting the ball to him a lot during Liverpool's press. And just a little shoulder drop, the way kind of how he created the first goal against Barcelona in the Clásico, he was doing those runs from deeper positions against Liverpool and got Real Madrid at a lot of difficult spots facing a press. So I thought he was really good overall. I actually think now, like, by the time this game is over, I think we have several man of the match candidates, and one of them being Casemiro, who may have had his best game ever tonight. But we also had an amazing Courtois game. We had an amazing Militao game. I thought Mendy looked pretty good. So I don't know if Fede's the man of the match, but he's up there for me as one of the most important players in this game. And the fact that he did it as a makeshift right back is just more impressive to me.
And quickly before provides his retort, I would just add that Fede finished the game with a game high of 8 interceptions. So he had 4 in the first half, you said, Kiyan, so finished with 8. Unbelievable. And just, I don't know. I just, given the context of the game, given everything, I was happy with his performance and his work rate, his energy, his defensive prowess, like everything he brought to the table. It was needed in this game. It was needed. He's not a right back, but I thought his composure on the ball, and even I know you felt his progressive passing isn't where it needs to be for that position, but I just felt like having a guy like him and his composure on the ball to be able even just to progress the ball up the field, run up maybe 10, 15 yards and just hold on to possession for us and move the ball up in transition, just allow the team to breathe a little bit. Like even little things like that makes it worthwhile.
So defensively, I think he did better than I expected he would. going into it. I think part of that was like I was looking, well, with the Lucas Vasquez thing, what is our issue, or what was our issue with him defensively? It's the ability to cover space. I thought in the moments that Valverde had to do that, he did that well, but a lot of it was Liverpool pinning us back. So it was more about how is he going to defend 1-versus-1, right? And so I could only spot 3 specific sequences where Valverde was off defensively. So second minute was when the Salah gets his 1-versus-1. So this is when Mane runs in behind. But I'm a little sympathetic to Valverde here because we were going forward and Benzema was controlling the ball and Valverde needed to get upfield. So in that moment, he moves himself out of position into Liverpool counterattack and Mane runs in behind. Then the second one, which is the one that everyone pointed out, was Mane skinning him 1-versus-1, which is the 3rd minute. And then this was in the second half. The 3rd moment was when Jota got inside him and Valverde was just a bit reckless with his challenge. Other than that, I think he was pretty fine defensive. I think Asensio also did a generally pretty good job of coming over there and helping him. We can talk about the one big defensive mistake Asensio made later. So defensively, I was fine. On ball is where I think I disagree with you guys a lot, especially inside the first 40 minutes. I think he grew out of that mostly for the rest of the game. But on the ball, 40 minutes, I thought he was pretty bad, if I'm being frank. And maybe the worst on-ball player for us in the game besides Courtois. So that's where I disagree with you guys drastically. So the first 40 minutes had a 70%